Right, let me test the volume, see if everyone can hear me. You can see a couple of people have come on now. See if social media will catch up. Right, let's have a look. See a couple have come on now. Can you hear me? Not sure who that is. Anyone who comes from Facebook, just like this, look, if you just literally come out of this video, click on the link that's in the post, and then you can just register your profile, basically, so I can see who I'm talking to. So it looks like a few have come on now. So evening all, Lee Ashby here, Motocross and Speedway Memories. Hope you're all good. I'm a little bit excited and scared again. There you go. My mum can hear me. Look, so whoever wrote that, look, then once you just click on that link in the post on Facebook before you come on to the video, then I can see your profile so I can quote you. So, Simon, how's it going? So yeah, I just spoke to another American Speedway mega legend, and I think hopefully you might be popping on as a guest appearance tonight. So I'm a little bit, ooh, do it every time. Right, so yeah. So, going to get the Lance King on tonight. Hopefully it goes okay. I'm going to send him the link. Hopefully he gets it all good. And hopefully then we've got another American mega legend. Looks like he's going to be coming on as well. He's asked me for the link as well. So that's a good sign. So then that's when the nerves really set in. That I'm like, oh my God, he is actually coming. Oh. So I'm just trying to do that as well. Sorry, just trying to send this as well. So I just got that ready as well for the man as well. Hello, Sharon, how are you doing? Not sure who that is either, but evening anyway. If any of you guys that have not linked, here goes Cool and the gang, not sure who that is either. But yeah, if you just literally just come out of this video, click on the link that's on the post before you come in, then you will come up like Kevin so I can see who I'm talking to. Another fantastic American rider, Lee. Seen him race many times. Awesome, Kevin. Thanks for coming on. So there's Sharon, our top caterer. Only food and sauces. Legendary at our reunion event. Hello, Jonathan. How's it going? So yes, hopefully we'll get Lance King coming in, and then hopefully another superstar American guest to be coming in to have a little visit as well. So fingers crossed. I'm just going to double check and message Lance now. Hopefully he's got it. Let's chase Lance up, shall we? Hopefully I've sent Lance. All right. I'm going to put now sent email. Right, hopefully Lance is going to get that as well. Get me questions. Hope you guys are going to come at your questions. Hey, John, hope you're good. There you go. Looks like my missus, who hasn't registered it herself. Oh, there he is. No way. What's going on? This makes me more nervous. God. Oh, Eric, absolute ledge. He's on. Oh no, can't cope already. What's going on? We've already got legends on here watching already. It's making me nervous. Eric Gunderson, what's going on? Can't cope. Oh, my man's in at the bottom as well. I can see you down in there, Lance. So I got my man is on now already as well. Got Eric Gunderson's on watching already. Jesus. Praise the Lord. So, right, I'll get my video going to introduce our man, and then we'll get cracking. Here we go then. Here we go then. Let's bring the man in. The man. Hey,
How you doing, Lee?
you hear me all good?
Yeah, doing great.
Beautiful. Much appreciated for coming on, Lance. Awesome to be able to speak to you, for sure.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Oh, it never gets old speaking to these legends. I still such a fan of all you guys. It's crazy getting you on. Unbelievable. Oh, it's all right. Just give me a couple of seconds to compose myself, lads. Oh, mate, how are you? Anyway,
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Everything's great.
awesome. So, how have you been? What have you been up to? Obviously, since you retired from racing, obviously I've seen that you were American team manager and everything. And how did all that go? And how was your thoughts about being a team manager and everything?
Wow, that's a big question.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't even know how to start. Um, it actually started by Greg coming up to me and asking me if I was interested because Billy was stepping down,
Yep.
and I thought, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. Being getting into that role. I mean, I literally stopped looking at speedway for 10 or 15 years, and it wasn't until Greg mentioning that to me that I started, obviously watching. Sorry about that. Watching again and all of that kind of stuff. So it got me back interested in the sport, and yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It really has and you mentioned Eric's on the line, right? Obviously, Eric's dealing with the kids and stuff now, right? It's
Yep.
just it's a different mindset from when our generation was in speedway to the new generation of kids now, and that took a lot of learning, and I still haven't figured it out. And that was a huge challenge, but overall it was a great experience.
So, am I right in thinking that you stepped down from that now? Is that right?
Yeah, I stepped down from that about I don't know, maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
I'll be 100% honest. I lost the passion, and
Okay.
there's a few different reasons why that happened,
Mhm.
and I felt that there's no reason me carrying on if I don't have the passion like I had before.
Yeah. Fair enough. Did you get on with all the riders okay? With all the riders okay to deal with?
Yes and no. Um, we disagreed on quite a few things on some of the riders, but for the most part, um, everything was great.
Yeah.
It's difficult for us because we have to bring riders from the States.
Yeah.
If we had the people that we had riding like before and getting everyone from Europe, it would be a whole different ball game, and that was the struggles and the challenges that we had coming from America.
Okay, I was gonna hang on a minute. I was gonna say we'll take it back, but I can just see. I'm not sure. All right, I'll take it back a minute first for this question. When did you first get into speedway then, and what was the sort of first bike? Did you have was it a speedway bike you had first, Lance, or was there another bike you had first?
You mean as far as riding or racing motorcycles?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a funny story actually. My dad, I had a Taco mini bike that my dad got me when I was, I don't know, 4 or 5, I think, something like that. And I just went straight and crashed everywhere. I just couldn't, I could not ride this Taco mini bike. Then my dad's neighbor came over and says, "Does he have a bicycle?" And my dad's like, "Hell no, I'm putting him on a bike, you know?" And he's like, "He doesn't know balance." So then I got a bicycle, and obviously I figured balance out, and then that it all started from there.
So it all started
Yeah,
how young were you?
I was like 4 years old, and then I started racing mini cycles, like 60 cc's and 80 cc bikes, and then Mike Bass, which is a legend here in the States, he worked for my dad every once in a while, and my dad helped him out in the pits when he was national champion. And that's when he asked my dad's a fabricator and builder and all that kind of stuff. And he asked my dad, he goes, what do you think about maybe making a scaled down speedway bike? So my dad was one of the first ones to build a junior speedway bike. And that's basically why I started riding junior speedway.
I hope this is right. I hope this is you.
Yeah, there you go. Right there.
There you go. Yeah. How cool is that?
I know, right?
Very cool. Very cool. Taking it back there, isn't it?
Yeah, that is, I think I was like maybe 11 or I think something like that.
Right.
And
so
that's my dad in the upper right or upper corner there.
Over. I've got a bit of a special guest that wants to come on and ask you a few questions himself.
Oh, no. Is that good or bad?
Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. Trust me, it's all good. So I'm going to bring him in now. So hopefully we'll be able to get him on and he's going to ask you a few questions himself before I get on with all mine.
All right. Sounds good.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
Lance Romance.
Oh, Bruce.
Hey, that look on his face right there was like he was getting ready to match race Kenny Carter or something right now.
Yeah, he's going, who the hell's this guy going to be?
Oh, wait, you were too young for that back then. Hi, Lance. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, Bruce. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Hey, congratulations on getting married.
Oh, thank you.
There is a better half now, huh?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so I won't keep you very long. So I have a question for you, or a couple. First of all, let me go back to when he first came over to England. He was hanging out with us in Sutton with Mikey and I. And Lance had a really tough time with his allergies when he first moved to England. I'll tell you what, you could hardly understand. His nose was so runny and so clogged up, and his eyes, we felt so bad for him that I don't think we really found, like an over-the-counter medication for him. But I'll never forget that. He had a tough time breathing, and but he got through it. Obviously, he did good.
Yeah,
remember those days?
I do, Bruce, and I'll tell you what. Greg's wife, Jenny, saved my life. I've had my allergies, like Bruce said, my whole life. And about 2.5 years ago, I was at Greg's house and I'm sniffling and wiping my nose and she's really into essential oils. So she's like, hey, let me give you some stuff for your allergies. I'm like, yeah, whatever. That stuff doesn't work. And she literally made me up this concoction and my allergies have been great ever since. So I wish I had that
really
30, 40 years ago. Yeah, but I was a snotty mess all the time.
You still are kind of a snotty little
guy.
I could say a little younger. Okay, so my question is this. And so who was your biggest rivalry kind of racer that, I mean, I had mine, obviously. Everybody has their one guy or two guys or many guys that I don't want to say just couldn't stand, but didn't really want to race against. Who was yours?
God, that's a great question. I don't think I had any.
You don't want to answer it. Come on.
No.
You know you want to answer it right now, but you're not.
No, I'll answer anything. I don't care at this point. I didn't never had rivalries like you had rivalries. I mean, I had little scuffs all the time. I never had really one person that I absolutely couldn't stand. Why? Do you know something I don't? Bruce, do you know who it is?
No, I was just asking because no, everybody's, I mean, pretty obvious who mine was, but like take Michael Lee. Michael Lee was, I mean, shit, when I went up against him, he was so good. I mean, I love Michael. Trust me, he's a great guy. And Dave Jessup was great. Peter Collins. I mean, Eric, right? Hands.
You mean who are my biggest rivalries as far as not disliking them, but who I was like, oh shit, I gotta step up my game here. That's easy. Eric's probably the biggest one.
No,
Hans
obviously Kenny
Nielsen
Carr.
was one. Obviously you when you were around,
Yes.
but you weren't around much of my career in England. But I would say it was definitely probably Eric was my number one that that was the toughest for me.
Okay. So my next question is, I want you to name your all-star team, meaning I want 4 riders and 1 reserve, and it doesn't have to be Americans.
Obviously, it'd be you. It would be Greg. It would be Eric.
Oh, your nose is growing. You're lying.
No, not at all. So how many is that? That's 3.
That's 2.
Okay, that's you, Eric. I would say Hans. God, there's so many on the next level. I don't know. I don't have 2 more.
You're getting old. You just can't remember.
I can remember, but Dennis Segal's. Dennis would definitely be the other one. Yep. I don't know. That's all I'm picking, and I would be there. So there you go. There's the 5.
That's right. Were you going to put yourself as reserve?
I wasn't even going to pick myself, to be honest.
I would. Okay, so I don't want to. This is Lance time, buddy. I love you dearly. It's nice to come on and chat a little bit. Lee, thanks very much. Every time I come on with you, Lee, you don't get to say much. So I mean, I know I talk more than Schwartz sometimes, but I apologize.
I'm happy to see you, Bruce. I'm just doing more of you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Bruce. Love you, pal.
Much love, buddy. Thank you.
Love you too, but hey, Lee, by the way, tell my favorite, which is not you, but your mom, Jenny, I said hello. Give her a big hug and kiss for me.
Oh, wow. She'll love that. She's on watching now.
Hey, Bruce, before you go, Lee, Bruce is the one that absolutely changed my life. He's the one that brought me to Europe and started my whole career in England and basically shaped my life. So I owe Bruce pretty much everything as far as Speedway goes. So thank you, Bruce.
No, you had a lot of great mentors, like you said, Mike Bast and of course Gunda.
Yep.
Eric Gunderson. I mean, you had a ton of them, and it was you that had to perform, Lance. We could only sort of guide you, and we did the best we could. And I knew from the get-go that we wanted Lance over with the Heathens, for sure. So it was great. I was just about finished when you were just starting, but you did a fantastic job, buddy. And besides being a great racer, you're a great guy, really. And not just saying that.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, buddy.
There you go, Bruce. My mum's just come on.
Okay, you guys.
Thanks, pal.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks
for coming on.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, you guys. Good seeing you guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming on. Legend. Thank you. Awesome.
That was
cool.
Great. Thank you, Lee.
No problem. Don't worry, I wouldn't ever stitch you up. It was, I knew that was all. I bet you were thinking, shit, who's he bringing on?
You never know, right?
Yeah, but don't worry, I wouldn't ever do it. Just got Barney Kennett come on as well. Look, great to see 2 great riders. Brilliant to watch. How you doing, Barney? You definitely remember the Kennetts, all the Kennett brothers, Lance, Gordon Kennett, and all them guys.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
Race Kennett, Gordon as well.
Pardon?
You get to race Gordon Kennett?
Yes, sure. I did. I think my first or second year were his last 2 years.
Yeah. Right. So where were we? Recompose. So what was the actual year that you completely retired then from Speedway, Lance?
I retired from Europe in '89 at the end of '89 season, and then I raced a little bit here and there locally. So I don't know exactly when I completely hung it up, maybe 92 or so. I put in maybe 5 races a year or 6 races a year, just dabbling in it, but nothing serious after I left Europe.
I've got some nice pictures of back a bit earlier in America.
Yeah, that was, I think I was 17. That's before I went to Europe.
Wow. And how did that actually come about to come to Europe? I know you've just sort of touched on it a little bit there about Bruce and a few guys. How did that all come about from you raiding in America to get the opportunity to go to Europe?
That was 100% Bruce. I you know I don't know if it was just me or oh wow, yeah, that was in New York at the New York Open. I think I was 16 there.
Yep.
That was completely Bruce. I didn't know much about Europe at all. I was so focused in the States, and then Bruce was the one that obviously got Cradley involved and made all of that happen. Brought me to Europe almost when I was 17, at the end of when I was 16, and then when I was 17 to sign with Cradley, just to sort of show me what it was like. And literally the first meeting I went to at Cradley, I was just in awe. Like, wow, this is Speedway? This is insane. How can I not want to be involved? And then the icing on the cake was, when I got to go to Wembley to see Bruce win the World Final and see how many people were there and see how big Speedway was. And I mean, how could you not want that to be your goal in life? So that sealed the deal for sure.
Just got John Westwood here. Just put, does Lance remember his first meeting for Cradley in the fog?
I do a little bit. Everything was a blur in those early days.
Yeah.
I do remember that it was the tracks were extremely deep, and I did really good the first couple matches, which I think was probably bad for me in the end for a while, which is an interesting story. But yeah, that was some fun times.
Awesome. Who were the riders that did you look up to and idolize, Lance, when you were young? Did you have any sort of riders?
Well, I mean, when I first started, obviously, Mike Bast, Bruce, all of the stars in the sport here in the States. Again, like I said, I didn't really know anything about Europe. And then when I came to Europe, it was almost like growing up with those people, if that makes sense. Just reading Speedway Star when I got over there and everything, I was learning about the riders as I was racing against them. So that was sort of interesting. Going over there, I didn't really know who were the complete superstars until I was over there.
It must have been a massive learning curve for you. Like, obviously, the life changes and everything going from America to UK. How did you adjust to that? What was that like for you?
You know what? It took me years to completely adjust, to be honest. It was such a shock. Again, having a lot of the Americans already over there was the biggest help in the world, because I could rely on them. They could sort of show me the way a little bit, give me tips. Bruce told me to bring a bunch of Mexican food and everything. So I brought bags of Mexican food. Didn't know why until I got over there. Then I realized why. But no, if it wasn't for them, it would have been a lot harder. That's for sure.
I got Simon Corbett here. Has just put, how was it for Lance riding in the greatest team ever in 1983? And was it sad leaving Cradley?
That was one of the best years of my life. I mean, it was, for a Speedway rider and for a team, of how we did, not only the success we had as a team, but just everyone on the team was a family. We did anything and everything for each other. And at the track, off the track, I had Eric, that lived by me in Tamworth, that helped me out a ton, and was like my Bruce Penhall when he left. right there. And we had a blast. I mean, Simon obviously is a joker, and so's Phil and Yano and Peter. It was a dream come true. And then in saying that, that absolutely was probably one of the worst things that could have happened in my career as far as going to other teams, because nothing was even ever close to that. And that was a big letdown.
Some nice pictures of you, obviously.
Yeah, it was. I didn't realize how good we had it. Yeah, that was my first year over there. I didn't realize how good we had it until I rode for a couple other teams.
Yeah. Then you realise that obviously gone before.
Yeah, there's Eric.
Did you always have Eric used to be in with him, and obviously top rider straight away when you came over?
What's that? Sorry.
You must have enjoyed riding with Eric, and obviously learning with Eric as well. He was obviously a top rider when you came over.
Eric taught me so many things about preparing bikes, preparing, I think, mentally. He was someone that I looked up to and have always looked up to. And he definitely, once I was in England, in the UK, he's definitely the one that furthered my career as far as setting everything up and making me the rider that I think I became.
It's really cool to have him on as well tonight. He's obviously watching, which is amazing. He just put asked Lance about towing cookers around Tamworth.
Oh, yeah. I look back at this now, and it's and I should have been deported. This was not. So what a friend of mine used to tow TVs. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Okay.
So we had a club called the International TV Towers.
Yeah.
And you basically put an old TV on its screen, and you tie a rope to it to the hitch of your car, and you tow it around town. And then when you want to blow it up, you swing it into a pole, and it shoots flames and all this kind of stuff. So then we took one step further. Downtown Tamworth, they had all these cookers being sold. And I bought a cooker off of this gentleman, and we beat a hole in it right there on the sidewalk and tied a rope to it and towed it home. And we towed it through traffic. I mean, yeah, it was too bad, good and bad. Too bad we didn't have phones that we could record this, but thank goodness we didn't, right? Because that was, you can imagine everybody in downtown Tamworth, a car going by towing a cooker. It was pretty funny. Shame on you, Eric.
Yeah. Can't get away with anything. Can't get away with anything these days with phones and all that.
Yeah, that were fun times.
Yeah, brilliant. Got Neil Skeldon here. Just put, does Lance remember Marie Alma, his fan club secretary, lovely lady?
Yeah, Marie. It doesn't get better than Marie. Marie was fabulous. There's no way that my fan club would have been where it was without her. Her and Alan, her husband, were just phenomenal people in general, period. And she was, I can't say enough about Marie. She, like, lovely lady, is just a part of it. She's a fabulous human being.
That's real nice. Nice. Hi, Mark. Just see Mark on there as well. Hi, Mark. Who was your favourite? This might be a difficult one as well. Who was your favourite rider to team ride with, and why?
Simon Wigg. Well, okay. So, are you talking about Cradley or overall?
We'll go for.
Okay, I would go. Okay, with Cradley, it was Simon Wigg.
Okay.
And overall, it's John Cook. All of the test matches and everything, we teamed up. John is one of the most unselfish riders, like myself. it was all about us getting first and second. It didn't matter who won. It didn't matter who had a better starting position. It was all about us team riding. And there's Simon, and Simon was exactly the same when we were riding for Cradley. Again, I think that's why we did so good, is no one was there for themselves 100%. We were there for the team. And in doing so, we did incredibly well individually, all of us.
Beautiful there. Nice picture as well, that one. Was he just a great guy in general, Simon Wigg?
What was that?
Simon Wigg, was he a great guy in general?
Simon was as close to being an American of anybody that I probably met in Europe. Simon and Phil Collins, those two. You know, Simon, what a great guy. I can't. If you want a life of the party, it's Simon. He was an absolute blast.
There's David, a great rider, Lance, Cradley legend, total respect. Very nice.
Thank you.
Definitely will. Callum says, "Lee, I should be asking if he knows any of the Graham brothers." I'm sure I know he knows the Graham brothers.
Yeah. I obviously knew them all, and what a great family of riders, right? I mean, there's a few families in the sport. Obviously, the Collins, but the Grahams. I mean, again, what a great group of a family, and the level that they were all at. Yeah. There's Phil there.
Yeah. It was very sad about Alan. I did actually do an interview with Alan as well before his accident happened, so it's just nice that we got to get that, and people can go back to that anytime, especially for his family. But yeah, that was a really sad.
Yeah, extremely sad. It's horrible. It's horrible that someone has to go through that.
Yeah, it's been nice to see Andy. I've had Andy come to my reunion meeting the other day and rode on the
Nice.
So,
yeah. Andy was always a tough rider with me. He was you didn't get anything easy with Andy. He made you work for it.
Love that. Did you always enjoy the technical side of the bikes and the sport, Lance? Did you get into that side of things, or did you leave that to mechanics?
No, like I said, my dad was like a huge fabricator, engine builder. He did a lot of specialty parts for the Ferrari Formula One team, you know, with Shelby back here in the States. He did a lot of my engine. Well, he did all my engines to begin with when I first started. And then obviously Eddie Bull did everything after Bruce introduced me to Eddie. But my dad always, you know, after I got off of Westlakes and I went to GM's, you know, we always had our own cams. We were always experimenting with a couple engines that obviously, you know, I was rebuilding or putting together or what have you. That was something that I did my whole life.
Did you guys have spoke to quite a lot of the Speedway guys, and they sort of have like nicknames for engines and certain relationships with engines and that? Did you have that as well?
I didn't have any nicknames for my engines.
No.
No, I had them all. I had them all numbered and everything, but no, I had nicknames for my old cars and everything when I was younger, but not any of my Speedway stuff. Do you have anything that anybody called their engines or?
Oh, they called them all sorts of names. Yeah. Literally.
I guess I'm boring with that.
Yeah, so you just add numbers on them so that you.
Yeah, obviously everybody's got their favorite engine, and it doesn't matter who your engine builder is. They can never do the same thing twice. They can get them as close as can be, but there's always one or two that just completely stand out as being exceptional.
We've got Richie here, Big Boy Racing. He's put, "Hi Lance, do you consider yourself as a hard rider when you rode?"
In world championship races, yes. I think everything else I was as fair as you can be, meaning that, you know what, the way I look at it is, if you're better than me and you're faster than me, then so be it. I never fenced riders when they were passing me or anything. But then again, when you get to the world championship stuff, hell yeah, I was as dirty as they came. Back when I rode, you had one chance at it. It was a 1-day event, whether it was qualifying to get to the world final or the world final itself. I don't think I would be like that now with the Grand Prix, even though those guys are riding pretty damn hard. And that's a whole different mindset, I think. But as far as riding all the time, no, not at all. And that's probably the one thing that upset me the most on some of the riders is it is such a dangerous sport, and to put your life on the line every race when you don't have to, if that makes sense. I mean, there were some riders you're just like, you knew, holy shit, I better watch myself. I mean, because they'll put you in the hospital on a league match. To me, that's not that important. That's sort of how I approached it.
Do you mean like, so you enjoyed the GPs? Do you mean as in, because obviously it's a series over a long period of time, it's not such a desperate thing as a one-off world final where it's all on the night, 5 rides. You've got to do it there and then, so it's a bit more.
Like in a GP, if I drop a couple points, it's not the end of the world. You drop a couple points, you're not on the podium.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, and I think it's, I would think it's prolonged people's careers.
Yeah.
In saying that, though, I've seen some pretty hard racing on the GPs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Oh, I've got another legend on here. It's Sean McConnell. How's it going? Sean.
How you doing, Sean?
I had a good interview with him as well, and I loved him when he came over and rode Swindon. It was really cool. He's put, did you have fun road racing?
Oh my goodness. I think he's talking about this one time that we had I think we were riding TZ 350s. Okay. And it's a funny story, and I don't know if he's talking about that, but yes, we had fun. So we're at Silverstone. Oh, wow. And I'm out riding, and I have some spots going on my shield, and I'm like holy shit, it's raining. I better slow down. Yeah. And people were passing me left and right. They were just flying by me. And I thought, oh my goodness, you got to be kidding me. These people are crazy. There's no way I'm going to ride like this in this kind of rain. So I finally pulled into the pits, and the crew came out, and I lifted up my shield. And when I lifted up my shield, it was dry as can be. The vent off of the fuel tank came off, and it was fuel hitting my shield. So they're like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. I got it. I'm good. But that was so funny because I was so slow. Yeah. And I think that's what he's talking about. We had a blast doing that.
That's brilliant. Thanks for coming on, Sean. Awesome. I did a nice interview with Sean as well. That was really cool. I've got Nick Sawyer here. He put, did you enjoy the derbies against Wolves, or was there any other, just another match for you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, whenever we rode against Coventry or the Wolves, it was a big deal. I mean, I think everyone stepped up. I know I did. I stepped up my game. I know there was a ton more pressure on me, especially when we're at the Wolves and Coventry as well. The crowds were crazy, and it was such a rivalry in the crowds that, those were some fun matches to have. I wish they were all like that.
Yeah. Well, Eric's just come on and said, no, Donington lads.
Oh, that was our first. I think we did it for Motorcycle Weekly. All of us got together, and a lot of us speedway riders. I wish I had that picture. And we tried some road race bikes. That was a blast. Yeah, the one I was talking about was after the.
Oh, we just lost Lance there. Oh, Hopefully he'll probably just frozen his internet for a second. Hopefully he'll come back. Come back, Lance. Come back. Sounded like Kate Winslet then, didn't I, on the Titanic? Jack, come back. Hopefully Lance will come back. Hopefully he's just had a little technical internet thing there. Hopefully it's something's just run out of battery. I'm not sure if he's on a laptop or hopefully he'll be back in a second. Hopefully he'll be back in a second. He's gone off for a second. Hopefully he's going to come back. I'm just quickly looking through some of your questions now so I can quickly have a quick look through just to make sure I didn't miss any. Because I even had a couple that Bruce said down as well. So I've just been looking through my questions and trying to look at your questions at the same time. Multitasking like us men do and all that. Hi, Mark, as well, by the way. I think I did say hi. Hopefully Lance is going to come back. Yeah, come back, Lance. I'm just looking at yours as well on there, Stuart. How's it going? Nice to meet you. Yes, nice to meet you, Oxford, as well, buddy, for the relaunch. It was really cool. Glad it's all going well at Oxford for the new start. I'm sure Eric's seen that Oxford was restarted as well, which is really cool, and got to meet Hans Nielsen in person as well. It was super cool after the interview, and I wasn't sure if Hans would remember me, but I thought as I kept him in a mammoth 3 hours, Eric? Couldn't forget my ugly mug. So I went over there, sidled up in the bar, and thought, I don't know if he's going to know who I am. But he said Lee, which was a good sign. He could have called me Tracy or something like that. So that was really cool to get a picture and have a quick chat with Hans as well, because he literally had, obviously, the whole of the Oxford crowd were stopping him for photos and everything like that. So didn't want to hold him up too long, but it was cool to speak to him. I will ask that, Simon, as well, if we can get him back on. Did Lance enjoy the bigger tracks, Hyde Road, Bradford, Exeter, all the smaller ones? Because obviously I know I'm going to mention, obviously, he rode for Bradford. Dukes as well. I've got some pictures of him on that. Also about him, I'll talk to him about his time at Kings Lynn as well. I've got some pictures of him racing for Kings Lynn as well. Hopefully he's going to come back on. I'm not sure if he's had a battery thing. I'm just going to see if he's on. Let me just see if I can just check if he's okay. Just messaging him on Facebook. Yes, I will, Sean. Hope you're good as well, Sean. Good to see you, mate. Enjoyed our interview as well. It was really cool to get you on. How are you? You okay? Just talking to you about my brother I was talking to my brother about you the other day, actually. No way. My missus just is messaging me saying I think I've seen Billy Hamill on as well. Oh dear. Don't put me under pressure. Love to get Billy on as well. So if you are watching, Billy, I know I've chased you a few hundred times already, but I am waiting patiently, honestly. But love to get Billy Hamill on as well, of course. The Bullet himself. Love to get him on. So there's my little beg, Billy. Got to get the Bullet on. Been getting obviously I spoke to Greg. Getting all you Americans going. We're gonna have to do one with Dennis Segalos on his own because he did one at Christmas. That'd be cool to get Ziggy on his own as well. I've been trying to chase all you American boys. I've been trying to chase Bobby Swartz as well. I'd like to get Bobby Swartz on. I did have his number and I messaged him, but I'm not sure if he's into that texting lark and stuff. Anyway. Oh, good to see you're all good. Hopefully, where's Lance? Come on, Lance. Maybe he's getting rebooting the PC up, or is he? Oh, someone just said to me I've got some weird interference on my mic. Can everyone hear me okay now? Someone's messaged me saying it sounds like I'm underwater. Is that right? Can you hear me okay? Everyone? I'm just going to quickly go through some of these pictures that I didn't get to put up yet of his on the Cradley ones. Hopefully, he's going to come on a minute. Someone done that one nice. I think Kim on Facebook's just told me I've got some sort of interference on my mate. Maybe it's my beard rubbing against there, Kim. Sorry. It sounds fine. I hope not. Eric, he'll get arrested if he's towing cookers around. Things you could get away with back then, eh? In the 80s and 90s, with no camera phones around or anything. People whip them out now quickly, don't they? Sounds okay. Hopefully we're going to get him back. Here he is. I think he's back.
Sorry about that. I had a little outage here.
That's cool. I just thought, hopefully we'll get him back.
Sorry.
That's all right. No problem. He's Eric said you were off towing something.
Shit, maybe.
And then Sean's just said, if Lance comes back, ask him about racing on the concrete. So what's that? Is he still?
Oh, we used to do the at the end of the year. They used to have some indoor races at the Ahoy Stadium in Holland, and then they had some in Birmingham at the NEC. And those were a blast. And there was a lot of shenanigans that happened in those races because, you know, it was the end of the year. Everybody was done with all the stressful racing, and we just had a ton of fun. And a lot of these questions, Sean's trying to get me in trouble. He wants me to say some incriminating things. I'm not going to happen, Sean.
Yeah. Come on, leave that, Sean. I'm not trying to cause controversy, Sean. We've already had Bruce trying that on. Right, so Neil just said that was his montage. So I think that picture that I put up was a cool one. That one there. I think that's what.
Yeah, very cool. Very
cool. Very cool. Like that. Spotted that earlier. Thanks for that, Neil. That looks great. Love that. Thanks for that. Right, so where was I with my questions? I put, what were your favourite tracks in the British League and why, Lance? And then also your favourite tracks anywhere else in the world. Wow.
My favorite tracks in the British League, obviously one of them is Cradley. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to go there is because we all know that I wasn't the best gator in the world, and it gave you a chance to come from the back. You always had a chance, no matter how you were out of the start. And in saying that, the old Bellevue, was as far as a big track goes, that was my all-time favorite because it did not matter how you came out of the start. For the most part, the best rider or the fastest rider won those races. You could not protect your line there at all. I love that place.
You must have had some good battles there with what was that, the Peter Collins, Chris Morton, and guys loved that around there.
Yeah, PC, yeah.
Must have had some good battles.
That was a cool place.
Yeah. I actually got a question here from Simon. Said, did Lance enjoy the bigger tracks? He mentioned Hyde Road, we just mentioned. Bradford, I know you rode at Bradford. Exeter, what did you think of those over
I never got to ride at Exeter.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I never got to ride at Exeter. Obviously, Bradford was one of my favorites as far as one of the teams I rode for, and as far as I guess the newer big tracks because the old Bellevue wasn't around when Bradford was, but yeah, Bradford was a fun track.
Because obviously in America you rode those really small tracks. Was that difficult going back into the UK and then going to them bigger tracks, or
for some riders? For some riders coming from the States, I don't think they could ever adapt. My style, I think, the way I rode the bike worked better on bigger tracks. The bigger tracks that we had here in the States, I did better at. Like, for example, Costa Mesa, which is such a small track, it gave me fits. I didn't care much for that place, even though it started my career. It didn't suit me. Again, because I'm not good out of the start, or I wasn't the best out of the start. Then there were tracks like San Bernardino that had a lot of dirt on them, and they were bigger, a little wider. Those things were an absolute blast for me to ride. And the old Ascot.
Got a couple of older photos here as well, just before we move on. I got one there, look.
Yeah, that was the state championship at San Bernardino. Yeah, that was the old Ascot, I think, with Kelly.
Nice. What a rider as well he was as well, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Love the JT body armor as well. I actually had some of that JT body armor at Motocross.
Yeah, JT was an incredible sponsor for me. And you see that Team Swollen there for Sean?
Yeah. Love that.
I think he put that on there. I didn't even know it was on there, probably.
Love that.
That's San Bernardino as well.
That's Cookie, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned him earlier, didn't you, about team riding?
Yeah, John. We've had a lot of great times together, and phenomenal teammate.
What were the tracks in the UK that you weren't too keen on? Was there any that you didn't really like the shape or the setup?
Actually, was not a huge fan of Wolverhampton and or Birmingham because they were just long, skinny, and really tight turns. Again, I think it tended to be better for the people that got out of the start. It was easier to block, and not so much for the person that wants to do any passing.
It was your favourite period in your career in the UK? Was that your favourite time? Was obviously at Cradley. I know you obviously rode for Bradford and King's Lynn as well, which I'll show some pictures in a bit. But I mean, was that just your favourite time in general?
Yeah, I mean, it was my favorite time because we were winning, and I was learning, and it just was. It was a great time in my career. And then, after not having a team after Cradley and then having to stay home, that sort of, it changed my whole career as far as riding, for sure.
How did that come about? Was that like a points average thing when you moved? Was it Bradford you moved to from Cradley?
No, it was when me and Eric were first and third in the world. And if you're Cradley, are you going to give the world champion away, or are you going to have number 3 go away? Obviously, you're not going to give Eric Gunderson away or trade him. But one of the things that was, I don't know, I would really love to know the truth. I have my opinions. I was put on the shelf as far as they were, meaning Cullen Pratt was basically saying, hey, you know what, Lance, we might want you in the team. We're trying to work it out. By the time that he said, you know what, we're going to stay with Eric, we have our team set, there was no teams that had a place for me with my average.
Wow.
So do I blame him? 100%.
Yeah.
I'll be honest right now, 100%. And did that completely alter my career from then on out? Absolutely. Who knows what would have happened if I would have come back the next year? I was obviously in my prime.
Yeah.
Staying at home sure the hell didn't help me. Basically, I stayed at home. I didn't make any money. I just had a ton of fun, but it didn't further my career, and it changed my attitude towards speedway a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a shame. So it was basically just left too late in the day to obviously sort yourself out.
Right, and I mean, I was a kid then, and obviously when you grow up, you know a little bit more about business. And I think that was a business move of not having to ride against me, possibly. I hate to say it, but he knows who he wanted in the team months prior to that. I mean, you're not going to leave a heat leader and the number 3 in the world on the fence that late. You know what you're doing. I mean, come on.
Right, so you sort of pretty much left it so you couldn't ride it somewhere else. Basically.
Exactly. And then when finally he released me, there was no place for me. So at the time I was like, at the time I was so naive. I was like, oh, that sucks. But looking back at it now and years ago, it's like, oh, there was a reasoning behind that, or just selfish on his part that he just wouldn't release me so I could ride for somebody else, you know?
So is that how you came back and then went to Bradford from there, was it?
Then I went to Bradford for the next couple years after that. Yeah, with Randy Green.
Did you enjoy that spell? I think that's
Yes and no. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the track. There was no team. There was no team at all. It was 100% everybody rode individually.
Wow.
That was really tough for me.
Mm.
There were times where in the beginning that I was doing my best to try to get to everybody to be a team because that's all I knew.
Yep.
And I got defeated early on. And then finally I was like, okay, well, I guess we're just all racing individually. And that was really hard for me. That was really hard for me because I knew, and I was a part of one of the best teams ever. And I knew how great it was, and I knew how good it was, and how fun it was. It took a lot of the fun out of the sport and made it more of a job.
Not great then.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
What was the situation? So you went to Kings Lynn after that?
Yeah, and then I went to Kings Lynn, and it was, the Richard and John. It just it was somewhat the same as Bradford.
Right.
Not as much, but somewhat the same. I had fun there. I loved Kings Lynn's track. Again, a really good racetrack, as Bradford was. That's one of the reasons I signed for both of those clubs, is because I enjoyed riding there. The one thing that was a little bit of a bummer is every time we rode, it was like a 3.5 hour drive from my house.
Yeah.
And that got tiring after a while, because all of your interleague matches and everything were at the other end of England.
And then was that your last time, and then you went back to the US from Kings
Yeah,
Lynn?
that was the last time, and it was sort of like I didn't have both Bradford and Kings Lynn ended exactly the same. And I've said this before, so it's not like I haven't said this ever before.
Yep.
But the clubs weren't doing good financially.
Yep.
And there was a point where they came and they got us all together as a team. And I'll use Bradford as the first one. And they got everybody together and they said, hey, you know what? We can't keep paying everyone what their contract was. But what we can do is put everybody on the same money, and then it's all on point money and all of that. So I was the only one that didn't raise. They said, okay, so who agrees? And I was the only one that did not raise my hand. The reason for that is because 90% of the riders, this was a pay increase for them. This was like cutting mine by 70%. So my remark was, in our contract, you're supposed to make sure that you have A1 equipment. You have to make sure that you have, all of your tools. So I said, you know what? Have I ever asked you for a dime when I blew up 3 engines in 2.5 weeks? Or what? You don't know if I borrowed money. You don't know what I did. But I made sure that I had the best equipment and I was as prepared for every single match. Now that you're not doing so well financially, maybe you need to go out and borrow some money and pay my contract. I thought that's business. Again, it wasn't much of a team. I was riding individual, and to me, it was just a job. And at that point, it's like, okay, now you're taking my money away from me. I would rather not do my job. So I elected to I elected to stand down. So I went home. Exactly the same thing happened at Kings Lynn. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is happening again. Wow. Not only that, but that was obviously the year that I had the big crash with Eric.
Yeah.
And that chokes me up every time. You know, what happened to one of my best friends, and I was involved, and it was that, and the again, another club saying, hey, you know what, we're not going to hardly pay you. And I just went, you know what, I'm done. I just, like, that was it for me. And it sucks because I had a lot left. And I think if it wouldn't have been a job, like Cradley wasn't a job, who knows, you know? I mean, you can always, if a coulda, woulda, but those two circumstances just basically killed my career in Europe.
Yeah, not cool, was it? It was left a bit of a bad taste then, really.
Yeah, and then, you know, I mean, so after not being able to hang out with Cradley, which were some of the best years of my life, and then coming to a club that, you know, the Ham brothers were awesome. Thank you for bringing me to Europe. And then, but then that happening, and I'm like, oh, okay. Kings Lynn stepped up. Hey, we'll take you. And then that happening to Kings Lynn, I was like, oh, this is, I can't do this anymore, you know? So unfortunately, that's when that, and I had a really bad crash in Brisbane that year too, where I basically lost like 5 days in the hospital, meaning that, you know, I woke up 5 days later, and I just thought, you know what, all three of those things with Eric, with Brisbane, and the contracts, I'm like, you know, maybe somebody's telling me something. So my dad had something like that happen in his sprint car career, which was extremely tragic. And he just, and that story kept coming through my head time and time again of, you know, maybe somebody's telling me something. Maybe I shouldn't be over here. So that's when I called it a day.
Yeah, not cool.
Yeah.
Nah. Did you? I didn't know about that. So that was interesting. I didn't know about that. Did you have any superstitions or anything when you rode? Did you have any weird and wonderful ones?
Absolutely. I always put my right sock on first and my right glove on first.
Yeah.
Those were two of my biggest superstitions. That today is still the same. I put my right sock on and my right shoe on first.
Did you? Wow.
And I'm afraid to not, because I don't know what's going to happen. Is that weird?
I think we've all got stuff, haven't we?
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. We've all got to do this. I always ask everyone this because I've got my Swindon's my hometown. I know you've rode Swindon. My dad and uncle rode for Swindon, so I've got my Swindon thing. Did you like Swindon track? I've got a picture.
I love Swindon. I love Swindon. The only thing that I did not like about Swindon is probably 50% of the time we went there, you see how it's sort of dusty and slick. That, because when Swindon was prepared properly, it was one of the top 2 racetracks in England by far.
Race. Didn't have to gate necessarily either then.
Right.
Well, did you?
And I mean, yeah, no, that place was a blast. I love that. And I think that the Americans always did really well there in the test matches.
Yeah, I think I've got some nice pictures of you in the test matches at Swindon. I think that's at Swindon, the England.
See, that's a terrible picture for me, because when you have Chris Martin looking over at Phil, that's how bad a start I got. He's trying to figure out how to team ride against me.
Yes, yeah.
He's like looking over like, oh, okay.
Where's Lance? Lance is done.
Right, but the good thing is it was hard to team ride there.
I think that was even Swindon. Looks like versus Sweden. Looks like Per Jonsson.
I think that's her, yeah.
He was a tough competitor, Per Jonsson. You guys have some good races.
And what a great guy. I love Per. He's such a great guy.
I did an interview with him. That was super cool. You're obviously a big part, as we're talking about the American teams. I've got a load of pictures of you in the American setup and everything. Obviously, you were a big part of, there was some amazing sides. It was super stacked with riders from America. We all loved seeing you all over here. Took you all in like our home riders, really. And it's great to have you over here. Like you said, all the test matches we had back then. It must have been amazing. Did you always have great camaraderie between the team? It's all sort of well known that you guys all did.
I would say most of all of my fondest memories are with Team USA. I mean, it was an interesting combination, because if you were, I think if you were outside looking in, you would think that we were all not even taking it seriously, because we were all laughing, we were playing jokes on each other, and all of that. But that was just part of us, just being us and have a blast. And again, just what a cool family. And we would absolutely do anything and everything for each other on those days. And afterwards, you could rely on them at any time. And it's just some of the best years of my life, for sure.
Some great riders all round. Amazing to see all you guys over here, for sure. That era was amazing.
Yeah, Ricky I went to high school with, so that was pretty cool.
You were close with him?
Yeah, actually Ricky rode, because he was into motocross, because his dad was the editor of Motocross Action. And and then one day, everybody used to always make fun of me because I just rode around in circles. Because there's a few other motocross riders, Johnny O'Mara, that you've probably heard of. Johnny O lived a couple doors down from me. Myself, Johnny, Ricky, we all went to school together, and we were all buddies. So there's a guy by the name of Tom Halverson that used to be a mechanic for some of the best, and he runs Yamaha's road race team in the States. So anyway, long story short, they all made fun of me, and then one day after our last race at Ascot, I said, everybody's going out to this place called Indian Dunes, and if you think it's so easy, you're all going to ride. Yeah. So we all went out, and they all rode, and I remember Johnny taking like 3 laps, just cruising around, and he came in and he was tired, and I'm like, how can you be tired? You're one of the most fit people I've ever met in my entire life. And so anyway, long story short, Ricky rode, loved it, bought one of my bikes, and look at where he ended up, Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get hold of Rick as well. I'd like to do an interview with Rick as well. But
yeah, Ricky's doing really well. He's doing really good in the stunt industry. That's where his career has gone.
It's cool. I did I've got 3 on there that I've interviewed. It was cool. I did one with Ronnie and Greg. Was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Ronnie still lives in Europe, right? Or England?
Yeah. Yes, he does. Yeah, he came to watch one of my meetings last year with his boys as well, which is cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it was good to see him for sure. And it was cool doing an interview with him. So I was going to ask you, what's the best atmosphere you've experienced as a racer and as watching Speedway as well?
Watching Speedway was 100% Wembley.
Yes.
That and very disappointing that I never got to ride there.
Yep.
One of the best. You mean best atmospheres?
Yeah, well, that you raced in yourself.
We didn't do well as a team, but I remember when we went to, or this just comes out, when I went to Lesno for the first time, when we were in the World Team Cup, one was they had armed guards there at the starting line, in your pits, in the stands, those crazy times, that, and just how many people were there, and how they rooted for every single rider. They didn't have obviously Poland as their favorite. They rooted for everyone. That stands out as like something that was for me as closest to Wembley as there was. you know, as far as that crazy atmosphere.
Huh. Eric's put that.
And I went to I love you too, bro. I went to Cardiff and watched Greg once, and that was as far as a spectator, that was an incredible atmosphere too. I would have loved to have been a part of that.
Yeah, that was cool. I've only been to once to the actual Cardiff. I'm going this year, thank God, but I went once and Greg won that, and the atmosphere was
That's a cool place. So, and you know, we went to where the heck we've been to a couple of the GPs, but yeah, Cardiff is just pretty special.
I got Diane Weaver here saying sending love from the Weaver family, Cradley legend.
Thanks, Dan.
My mum said that I think Lance Dog is trying to say hi.
Oh yeah, you know, it's one of those days. I got the landscapers are here. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah.
And then someone's put there no name on it. They've not registered the name on it. But did you do Rick Miller's testimonial on this? So did you bungee jump?
Yes, I did not do his testimonial.
Okay.
I did not do his testimonial, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, which was I couldn't understand why. Then unfortunately he lost his dad, Dick Miller, but I remember asking Dick once at Costa Mesa, you know, guy, that's interesting that I sort of started Ricky's career and I wasn't at his testimonial. And he said the reason that you weren't there is because he wanted a good lineup. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I was like, wow. Oh, interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, all right. Okay.
That's a weird one then.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Very strange when that.
I doubt Ricky would even know that. So
no, that's a weird one. Obviously, you 1984, wasn't it? The year that you come third in the world final.
Yep.
Yep. After I think you had a run off with Hans, wasn't it, for second?
Yep.
I was going to ask what it meant to you because I did speak to someone that obviously knew a lot about your career and everything. They were sort of saying about that. I don't know if this is true. You can confirm it or not, but he was saying that basically that you weren't really interested in going out for the runoff for second at that time. Was that like your disappointment of just like if you weren't going to win, you're not interested in the second, third type of thing? Or
a couple reasons. One is, to me, second's not an option. Yeah. I went there to be world champion. I didn't go there to be second, third, fourth. And again, who knows? But I know that when I was obviously in the last race with Eric, I realized that I had to do something pretty special to beat Eric out of the start. And I'm not a guy that times starts. I'm just, it never works for me. It never, ever works for me. But I knew exactly when those tapes were going to go up on that race. If anybody watching watches that race again, they'll see exactly what I'm going to say. It was on a 2 count. And I went 1, 2, go. And if I would have let the clutch go, I might have been world champion right now. But I went 1, 2, go, didn't let the clutch out, and the tapes went up. And I went, oh, got to be kidding me. Obviously, Eric won. He's world champion. I could care less about being second. To me, if I would have had the balls to drop the clutch, I wouldn't have be in this runoff. So I didn't want to be in the runoff. I said, just give it to Hans. Looking back at it in my life right now, hell yes, I would rather be second in the world than third. But at the time, I could care less. I felt that there was going to be other times for me to win the world championship. So that wasn't going to be my only shot. And I was sort of forced to go out. Otherwise, I was told I was going to get suspended and all of that kind of stuff. So I finally went out there, and I'm not saying that that's the reason I lost, but I really could care less how I did. So
So it was sort of like a bittersweet type of thing, really, isn't it?
yeah, and I have a funny story on that because the following year at the Intercontinental Final,
Mhm.
we had a runoff for second, I believe it was with hands,
Yeah.
and we did the coin toss,
Mhm.
and I won, and I took the outside gate, and it was raining and it was terrible weather, and Hans looked at me and he said, "Why did you pick that gate?" And I told him, I go, "Because I'm going to prove to you I would have beat you in Sweden last year." Just
Doesn't
sort
it?
of joking, but I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm going to prove to you if I wanted to race,
Yeah.
would have beat you." And it just so happened that I beat him.
Yeah.
And then I went afterwards. I said, "See, I just proved my point." Whether he cared or not, to me, it was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Fun because I could care less. I was in the world final. Second
Yeah.
or third didn't matter anything to me,
Yeah.
because the world final was the ultimate goal. So I just did that as a joke and ended up beating him and just saying, "See, I told you."
Like that.
Even though he beat me in the meeting. So
Yeah, that's the I forgot who I think it was John, actually, John Westwood maybe, that told me, and because he remembered, he said that you would have got banned if you hadn't have gone out for the runoff, like you were doing that, like, don't worry about it, and pretty
yeah.
much made you do it.
And there's certain times that, you know how there's certain riders that have people in their corner, like, like Peter Adams and all of that, right?
Yeah.
That's what I needed, people like that in my corner. Unfortunately, it was just myself to give me some guidance because I was pretty darn young, and I think that looking back at my career, that would have helped. People would have helped me in those kind of decisions because that was, just somebody young and whatever.
It's
He,
like
that's funny. Eric said you counted 3.
then.
It's funny, Eric, because I went 1, 2, go. So maybe it was 3.
It was 3. Go on 3.
You know what? It doesn't matter what Eric did. He was always way better of a starter than me anyway. That's why I knew I needed something special. And that's probably what screwed it all up. He got in my head, because if it was anybody else, I wouldn't have probably tried to do something special, But if anybody was going to win it except me that day, Eric, man, he totally deserved it. He's amazing.
Very cool. Did you always get on well with Kelly as well? He was obviously a bit of a character. I've actually got to read. I've got a book to read that Mr. Brian Burford did. I've got to read that book.
Are you Kenny Carter?
Oh, sorry, I'm not talking about Kelly Moran. Sorry.
Oh, Kelly.
Yeah.
Me and Kelly have raced our entire life together.
Yeah.
Kelly and Sean McConnell, we all raced mini cycles together. We raced junior speedway together. We raced speedway together. So yeah, our whole lives, from when we were, I don't know, 10 years old to, all the way through speedway, we were always racing together and we were like a little family. Absolutely.
Looks like you've won my mum over. She said Lance is a really nice guy.
Oh, thank you.
Bless her. Neil's put, Lance, have you ever thought about doing an autobiography?
I have. I just, I don't even know, where do you start with that, right? I don't know. I've been pretty fortunate in a lot of the stuff I've been able to do. After my speedway career, I opened up a movie production company with my sister, where we produced feature films, and we had our foreign distribution company where we had our booths at the Cannes Film Festival and Milan MeFed. So we did that for 7-8 years. So that was pretty cool. Got to, again, all work and no play, but it was some pretty cool stuff, and pretty fortunate to be able to do it. You know, I've been able to race cars and teach at racing schools, and it's been a blast.
Wow. Was there any? I know those 3 teams you rode for in the UK. Was there any teams other teams that approached you and tried to sign you that you nearly signed for, or was there any other teams in the British League you would have liked to have rode for instance?
Oh, those were the only teams. I think Oxford. I think Oxford asked me around the time that Bradford did, and I liked Bradford's track better than Oxford. And again, that was a track that didn't really lend itself to a lot of passing. There was some, but that's why I went to Bradford. For me, that was a better track.
You like because that's proper banked as well.
Yeah, and again, you know, for me, it was better as a racer's track. And again, if you're having fun, then that's and you know that no matter what happens, you always have a chance. That's what I try to position myself in.
Simon Porter, you went to Norden when Muller won. How was that in the middle of a carrot field?
You know, that's where I needed somebody in my corner. I think it was Bruce's long track engine. I think I had Bruce's long track engine because I knew it was a big track, and I had my speedway motor, and during practice it was slick and all of that, and then when we got there, you know, for the race, it was like 2 or 3 inches deep. It was like a sand track. So I went to the long track engine, and I was so far off on my gearing, on everything. If I would have had somebody in my corner that again, I was still learning, right? Because that was early on in my career. It took me halfway through the meeting to change bikes and figure it out. And then I started scoring points. Not saying that I would have won the thing because Egon was like head and shoulders above everyone else that day. But I probably would have scored another 4 points, maybe more. I don't know. But it was definitely a huge learning race for me, and disappointing too that I didn't have somebody that could have helped me, you know, because it would have changed. It would have made me feel better about the day because I was lost.
I was actually going to ask you about that. Did you actually like the long track stuff? Did you do much of that in the grass track, for instance?
I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. If I could have made a living off of long track, that's all I would have rode.
Wow.
That's how much I just absolutely love going fast. It was a blast. And then again, maybe it was more fun because I only did it every once in a while. If I would have rode it as much as Speedway, it probably wouldn't have been as much fun. But the times that I got to ride it, there's a half mile here in the States, Ascot, the half mile, which absolutely is probably one of the worst tracks I've ever ridden, but it's a half mile, and I just absolutely loved how fast it was.
Yeah.
That was what I loved the most out of grass track and long track, and I bought Bruce's bike when he retired, and that's what I rode.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you still got any bikes or any levers, Kevlars? Have you got any of that stuff?
No, there was a time where I got fed up here in the States, and I basically sold every nut and bolt and everything. And I kept one bike that I rode, and literally the next week the engine blew up. And there's a friend of mine that has the chassis. He just sent me a picture not too long ago. He's like, and I forgot he had it. I think he got it off of my dad. It was hanging in my dad's shop. So there's one laying around somewhere. But yeah, no, I never, there was a point where I just wanted done. I was done. Again, something I look back at now and wish I wouldn't have done it.
When you When you had the winter time when you rode in the UK, did you go back to America? What did you do any fitness stuff? A lot of the guys did sort of motocross riding and things like that to keep fit. Did
Yeah,
you go
you
back
know,
to ride or
during
what?
during the winter, I spent a couple of winters in Australia, and then other than that, I just stayed home, and that's when I was doing stunts in the stunt industry. And one of my major sponsors, you probably see on all my leathers, is Gold's Gym. So Gold's Gym, that they train me every year and supplements and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was pretty. I think I was not pat myself on the back, but when I was riding, I don't know of really anybody that was more physically fit than I was. I think
I thought
now it's much more popular
you,
to be as physically fit as they are now. I mean, these kids are as lean as they can be and pretty physically fit. And that was one drawback for me when I came back after 85 is I put on like 10 pounds of muscle, which was great as far as mentally, but not so good for horsepower. I mean, that probably was the wrong move for me, but at that point in my career, it wasn't, again, my values changed. I wasn't eating, breathing, sleeping, being world champion every day after the whole Cradley thing.
yeah. Did you prefer to be part of a team, Lance? Like you were, like say, for instance, at Cradley, or did you like the racing as an individual more, or both, or what was your?
I think if I was, you can't take one with the other, but being on a team I think is one of the greatest things. I absolutely loved the time I spent on the American team. Loved the time I spent on Cradley. But then, when you get on a team that's not so much of a team, it's not much fun at all. So it depends on what kind of a team you're with. I think if you're with a real team, then it's one of the best things ever in my book. It's one of my fondest memories. And obviously, individual. I mean, yeah, when you win, it's great. When you're not winning, that's tough, but it's a learning cycle. So, if that makes sense.
Back to push you on that, what would be you would say has been your most memorable race or meeting, and why does it still stick in your memory today?
Obviously the overseas final that I won at Bradford, that was one of the coolest days of my life. Just everything clicked. I mean, there's certain races that everybody racing will tell you that there's certain nights or days that you can absolutely do no wrong. Everything just works. It doesn't matter if you make the start. It doesn't really matter. Just everything just falls into place, and it's so easy. And that was one of those days. It just everything clicked. So that one definitely was the most special. Looking back at it, even though I got third in the world in Gothenburg, obviously that was a pretty darn special a special night as well.
Well, nice trophy too. Did you actually get to keep that for a bit, or is that just you just the show with it and that's it?
You mean the big trophy?
Yeah.
They actually were going to. They were going to. I had lawyers calling me and everything because I didn't give it back to them on time. Because it was insured by for some stupid amount of money, and they wanted it back, and I just didn't give it back to them in time. So they actually had somebody come knock on my door and retrieve it. They thought it was like I was like stealing the Stanley Cup or something,
Yeah. The trophy debt collectors, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
So where do you think that ended up?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no overseas final anymore, so is it a museum somewhere?
Maybe. I would like to know where that is.
Yeah.
It must be something like that, I would imagine.
I know that little one doesn't look like that anymore. I don't know where it's at, but I know it doesn't look like that.
I'm going to ask you if you still had it then.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Somewhere collecting dust, is it?
Yeah. Or I have so many boxes full of trophies that I just haven't opened up since I left England. They're still like in my garage. I just keep moving them. I think it's time I maybe pull some out.
I'm not sure who that is. Not a name on it. But it says, "Evening, Lee. Sorry, working late. Please ask him what he thinks about Luke Becker." I did an interview with Luke actually.
I think Luke's on the right path. I think Luke has some special talents. He's got some really good ability. It took him a couple years to be honest. It took him a couple years to listen to people, and start believing in what people are telling him, meaning hopefully myself. And I know that Greg was instrumental in his career.
Yeah.
And then once he started trying things and listening a little bit to Greg and figuring it out, now he's on the path where I think that I think there's going to be good things from that kid. He's got a ton of talent. I really do.
Hi, Craig. I think that's probably Craig Triplett, actually, thinking about it now. His sponsor in the UK, that's probably him that asked that question. But yeah,
no, Luke has got some talent. He's and he's doing everything right. He's got the right people in his corner. He's got the right equipment. He's got all the tools. It's now up to Luke.
Got a nice one here. I'm not sure what that was on. Lance, was that? What was that on the?
Yeah, that was the overseas final.
Was overseas again? Oh, right.
Yeah, where we had a runoff.
Right. Okay.
And
where was that?
That was in Vetlanda.
Nice. Sean was a hell of a rider as well, wasn't he?
Oh, Sean's great. I mean, him and his brother, just so much crazy natural talent. And it went all the way from racing mini cycles to junior speedway to big speedway. They just crazy amounts of talent.
Yeah. I've got a book of the Moran brothers to read as well, so I've definitely got to get into that as well.
Yeah.
Sure. Try and get Sean on here as well. I have spoke to him a few times on Facebook. I don't know if you've got
Germany.
Yeah, he was. I think the last time I spoke to him, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sean for quite a while.
You have to see him, but he didn't want particularly a bit shy coming on the camera, he said. Well, I'll keep persevering. Who was your closest friends in your speedway career, Lance? And how easy was that to, even like how close you were with Eric, for instance? How hard was that to block that friendship out once you come to the tapes and all that sort of stuff as well?
Obviously, Eric was one of my best friends in England, especially, and all of the American riders. To me, again, and this is one thing that I will say about Eric, and I know that Eric didn't tell me everything or show me everything, but he showed me a hell of a lot. Yeah. And I think he had the same attitude as I did. You know what? If you're better than me and you beat me, then I just have to try a little bit harder. Where he showed me and taught me so many things that I feel the same way of all of the American riders and Greg when he came over and all of them. I didn't show them everything, but I showed them a lot. And you know what? If they were better than me in the end, they were better than me. I just have to be a little bit better. So that's how I approached it, and I think that's how I believe that's how Eric did as well. You know.
I got a nice picture there with Michael Lee. You have some good battles. Did you have some good races with Michael Lee? Was another?
Yeah, I didn't get to race against Michael too much because he was at the end of his career when I was at the beginning. But yeah, Michael, what a talent again! What an amazing rider and what a cool style! How tall he was and how he rode the bike. It was definitely, you couldn't mistake him on the track.
No, for sure. You obviously do you watch the GPs still a lot now? Do you always keep an eye on that? Have you seen
I
any of
do.
the British stuff on
I,
TV?
yeah, I try to watch. Again, once I got the team manager job, I tried to watch as much as I could, and like I said, I've gone over to Europe and watched a couple live. But yeah, I try to watch as much as I can. We try not to miss one.
Any of the guys when you're watching personally that excite you to watch this day and age?
Yeah, I mean, Bartos is absolutely phenomenal, and it's funny because I talk to Greg about this every once in a while. He um, a guy that gives it 1,000% every race. The stuff he pulls off is just remarkable. Um, it's just there's not many people as far as racing cars and racing motorcycles that I think that are just absolutely amazing. He's one of them. I mean, he just looks like he's ready to crash at any given point, but never does. So that tells you how talented he is. I again, not that I see me in him, but the way he goes about racing, meaning he's not the best out of the start. He's obviously pretty good, but he's not the best. And he comes from the back. I see a little bit of myself as far as that kind of thing in him. And so I'm pretty happy to see. And I think that racing itself as a whole, I think you can come from the back a lot more than you could in our day. It seems that way, that there's for a spectator's point of view, I think it's much more exciting now than when it was when we rode. That's just my personal opinion. That it's hard to protect a lead if you're not the fastest guy. It seems like there's some great racing now.
There's some really nice stadiums in Poland now, as we've obviously seen as well, and been there as well. There's some nice stadiums, isn't there? Proper for speedway as well, which is special.
Yeah, I went to Torrent a couple times, and my goodness, what an amazing place, right? I never thought in my wildest dreams that there would be a speedway stadium that looked like that. That's pretty impressive.
I'm sure. I got a couple of photos here. When I first saw that, I thought, is he on Sean's bike or something like that?
Bike.
It was Sean's bike. What was that like? Did you, when you ride other people's bikes, it must be strange when you get onto someone's bike. If I race motocross and I got onto someone else's bike, everything feels so weird. But what was that like on the speedway as well?
It's funny you say that. Because so I have a question for you. What was the big difference of when you rode somebody else's bike? Why did it matter?
Obviously just the obvious things were like lever positions and all them sort of things, and obviously with a motocross bike, your back brake position and sort of things like that. But yeah, that was the main thing.
So the reason why I asked this is yes, there, I think when you become a certain, when you're at a certain level,
yeah,
I think you can jump on anything and do good. I don't think that you'll ever be as fast as when you're on your equipment. I also don't think that you can put a one-off race here and there together. I mean, this is a perfect example of USA, meaning that everybody's there for everybody else. I don't know what happened that day, but obviously something happened to my bike. It might have been a restart, and Sean just brought his bike out and said, ride mine. The reason why I'm bringing this up is this is one of the things with the team that I had trouble with. Is a lot of the riders here from the States did not care what they rode. I wanted them to bring their bikes. I wanted to bring them to bring their handlebars, bring their seats, bring everything that made them comfortable on the bike, because we had to source bikes in Europe. And a lot of their comments were, a bike's a bike. It doesn't matter. I'll just ride whatever you give me. And that was always interesting to me because the best of the best have fine-tuned their equipment, whether it's frames, engines, everything's a combination. And you got to make sure that that combination works for you.
Yeah.
Again, can somebody jump on a bike and do well? Sure. But that was the tough mindset that I had trouble with when I was team manager. And then when certain people got beat, they blamed it on the equipment. I just know that whenever I was asked to be on any team, I never ever asked for a bike or an engine or anything. You just simply brought your own stuff. Because win or lose, whether your bike or your engine's not good enough, it's still your fault.
Yeah.
Because you're you yourself and the bike and everything is that's the whole combination. And if you know, I mean, there's been times that I didn't have the best equipment, but I never blamed it on the equipment. It was my fault that I didn't have it at that time, if that makes sense.
Is it you can obviously answer this better than I can with the speedway as well. It just seems now that when you talk to the speedway guys now and when you see them on interviews and everything, when you interviewed back then, you didn't necessarily get guys continuously talking about the setup. It's always about the setup and stuff like that. And I remember like sat with my dad watching the GPs or whatever, and obviously he rode in the 60s and 70s, and he's going like they're passing around all these things, and he goes, hardly any of that's making any difference whatsoever. Do they overthink themselves in this constant setup and then lose setups and don't know where they are with the setups? And
I mean, I think all of us. I mean, if Eric's still on, he'll know that. I mean, yeah, you miss a setup. Like I said in Norden, I was so far off, and you knew that. You just never. It was not like language or the cool thing to say.
yeah,
I think another thing that the GP riders are under so much stress to do well. Their sponsors, they have a lot more money behind them than we ever had. And again, I'm guessing, but I think I'm pretty right. There's a lot of pressure on them. Rather than, that's a pretty diplomatic way of saying, yeah, I'm getting beat. I'm just chasing the setup. We'll get it. So then your sponsors are going, oh yeah, once they get that setup right, they're going to, you see what I'm saying? It's sort of not taking accountability.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. In a diplomatic way.
Yeah.
And it sucks because if I would have known that back then, I would have sounded a whole lot better.
Exactly.
Setup, they'd be like, oh wow, next time he'll do great.
Yeah. Once you're dialed in on the start, it'll be fine.
Yeah, right, exactly. I miss the setup a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. He sort of mentioned it a little bit earlier. Bruce did. Was there guys that everyone sort of had guys like that? Was there any guys over in the British League that you always had to keep an eye on, that you always seem to come together with on track and think, oh no, you've got to keep an eye on him straight away? Was there any guys like that?
Yeah, there's a couple that, I mean, one that there was like a Nigel Flatman. I just remember.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
There was always a couple. Andy Graham was one that there was a handful that would love to turn right on you and left on you down the straightaway.
Yeah.
But then once you, again, that's one thing. Once you learn and you start to see that, every time I was following somebody and I had them looking from where I was, I always knew I was in a great position, because at that point you can basically ride their bike for them and you can put them where you want them to be, because they're so worried about what you're doing. And a lot of times you can use that to your advantage, rather than what we call, head down, ass up. Just go as fast as you can. And if they beat you, they beat you. But when you're looking around corner after corner, then obviously, you're not as fast as that person. And that's the part of racing I never liked, because to me that's not racing. That's just saving your position. And again, we're only league racing, and there was some crazy dangerous stuff that happened just for saving like a third place or a second place. You're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I almost was in the stands selling hot dogs over 1 point. Really? You just destroyed my bike, cost me, I don't know how many thousands of pounds for what? You know what I mean? Let me pass you. I'll give you your 50 quid. Whatever that is.
Yeah. These guys are like trying to fence you for, like, you know, like you said, a couple of quid here and there.
Yeah, you know, so, but that's sport, right? That's just how it is.
Yeah, I did watch some actually on, I think it was YouTube the other day or Facebook, and I saw an instance with Flatman. I saw, I think it was at Ipswich, and it did look like he'd turned left on you quite a few times down the straights. It looked like.
There's just a few people that always had a tendency to do that. But then again, you know, if I was better out of the start, I would have never had to worry about him.
True.
So that's my fault in the end, you know.
What British riders did you get on with the best, and why?
Obviously got along with Simon, got along great with Phil, with PC, Michael Lee, because Michael was, you know, around Bruce's house a lot. You know, Kinney, and then since I'll remark on that photo. Mm-hmm. Obviously a teammate with Kinney his last year, before the tragedy, and you know, the only thing that I knew of Kinney was his rivalry with Bruce, and so I didn't know much about Kinney until, you know, we were teammates. And he wasn't that bad of a guy. I mean, we got along, I wouldn't say great. But I don't think that he ever held anything against me, you know, with the way him and Bruce were. So I mean, it was surprisingly pleasant of how that turned out, because that was my biggest worry about joining that club. How that was going to be. But you know, as a whole, I mean, like Jeremy Doncaster, I don't know why he just came to mind, but Jeremy Doncaster, Chris Morton, you know, Chris Louie, like Dave Jessup, I looked up to, because, you know, when I first started, he was, you know, obviously the top of his career, I believe. They were all great to me. I mean, I can't say many bad things about many bad riders. I mean, it was awesome. They were all great to me.
So did you feel like you always had good bikes as well when you were over in the UK?
I thought I always had really good bikes. Eddie did a phenomenal job on my engines, and I think with my technical background, with my father, and the stuff that I learned from Eric, I think I had pretty good equipment. I never really rode anybody else's equipment. But I will say, you're showing a picture of me on Sean's bike. After I rode Sean's bike, I thought, oh my God, I could not imagine how good he would be if he was on one of my bikes.
Wow.
Mine had so much more power. It felt like his felt like a 250 compared to mine.
Wow.
And obviously he was a lot lighter than me. So the power to weight ratio would be probably close to the same, maybe. And then, you know, and maybe my engine would have been too much power. I don't know. But I do know that I think anyway, that I had some pretty good stuff.
Did you actually relay that to him when you went in and went, wow?
Yeah. I said, you need to go ride my bike. And, you know, he didn't, you know, it's Sean. Sean's like, you know, I'm fine. It's all good.
Was he very laid back?
It's hard for me to say, hey, Sean, you need to ride my bike. You'll be better when look how good he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, yeah, whatever. I'll do my own thing.
Okay. He was a special rider, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Very sure. Very sure. Who, if I had to push you on this is a difficult one, I know. But if I had to say to you, who's the best 3 riders that you've ever competed against in your career, and why? It's not easy, I know.
I mean, I would think that it would be probably Eric, Hans, and Bruce.
Yeah, wow.
Those are the 3 that stand out. I'll go to Hans first. That guy, he impressed me so much out of the start. He had his bike again. That's somebody that had a bike that or an engine that was completely different than everybody else. His engine sounded 100% different than everybody else's. It had a different RPM range. Out of the start, he was 100% different than everybody else. He figured it out. Kudos to him. He was phenomenal. Eric, I mean, everybody knows how great of a rider he is. Have one of the best starters ever. I think I sort of look at Eric and I look at Greg Hancock out of the start, and I see similarities there that are huge. And isn't that remarkable how Greg started off with Eric?
Yeah.
It all sort of makes sense, right? I mean, I think if you look at tapes next to each other, which I have, they have very similar styles out of the start. And I think Greg soaked up all that information from Eric and made it his own. And Bruce had 100% talent everywhere. He was an incredible starter. He was incredible from the back. Yeah. I mean, to me, overall, Bruce was overall the best rider that I rode against, because Eric and Hans, if I beat them out of the start, I don't think I would have to worry about them as much as Bruce, because Bruce could pass from the back. But I wish I would have concentrated on, this is going in a different direction, concentrated as much about setting my bikes up to come from the back. I should have concentrated on getting out of the start, because we all know how darn important that is, and then how hard it is to pass. Again, I needed somebody in my corner to help me figure that out. But those would be my 3. I think, Bruce, as far as being overall the best rider, and then obviously Eric, and then Hans. Those 2 stick out the most in my career.
That's interesting there. So I'm not sure who that is, but someone put, ask Lance if he would like to ride my Bruce Penhall replica tuned by Eddie Ball.
I say yes, but I haven't ridden a speedway bike in oh my goodness. It seems like 20 years. I don't know if you know about my spinal injuries that I had, because I've kept it pretty quiet.
I didn't know.
I was 46, so take that. I think in 2008-ish. I think that was the year, maybe. I was racing Supermoto, and I decided to race the National in Las Vegas. And I came together with a guy in the inside stadium section over a triple, and I landed straight on my head, and I fractured my spine in 5 places. It was T2 through 5. Wow. I have 2 8-inch rods and 8 4-inch screws holding my spine together. The neurosurgeon said that every one of my fractures, I should be paralyzed from the neck down. He has no idea why I'm not paralyzed. So that obviously was an incredible year of rehab, getting back on my feet and all of that. But it also changed my life. This sounds horrible, but I think I needed that. meaning that everything that mattered in my life doesn't matter now, meaning that family, there's everything that's so much more important than where my path was going. And so not only was it the worst thing in my life that ever happened, but I think it's turned out to be the best thing that's ever happened in my life, even though I'm in pain and stuff every day. But I wake up, I'm walking, I can feel everything. And unfortunately, we know a lot of people that don't have that.
Yeah.
And some of my really good friends. So I'm so fortunate that has happened. But that's the only thing about that. I would love to get on a speedway bike, but it would be something where it would be off on my own. You know, I'll tell you what would be cool is like if me, Dennis, Bruce, Greg, like, you know what I mean? Even Sean Moran, if we all just went somewhere and just rode and laughed and had a blast, that to me would be like something on my bucket list. That would be, with no one else around, nobody knows we're even there. That would be a blast. That'd be fun.
Hopefully that can happen one day.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? Right? Because then
people got some special kit out there. Look, by the looks of it.
Yeah. So the answer to that would be, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure this is. I'm pretty sure I might know who that is as well. So yeah, find that out for sure. Pretty sure that's Craig Triplett, who was the sponsor.
It would be hard to have a Bruce Penhall replica that wasn't tuned by Eddie.
Yeah.
I know that Bruce had other engines and that nobody knew about, but Eddie, obviously was a star tuner.
And it looks like he's put my next replica must be a Lance King bike.
That sounds great. I got a rear wheel to start you off with.
There you go. I'm sure this is Craig Triplett that was a sponsor we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Hopefully it sounds like he's getting into that.
I'll tell you, my bike is a combination of Bruce and Eric's.
Is it?
Pretty much. Yep.
I've seen Eric's been putting some bikes together as well.
Yeah, right. How cool is that? And even Bruce is putting some together. Eric's got some. I mean, I think he's got like 3 or 4 or something. I don't know, but it looks like, to me, it's like a flashback of his old race shop that I remember in Tamworth. That's pretty cool.
And he's also put I want it. So Gavry's talking about the back wheel.
Okay, you can have it.
You have to. I'll get you in touch with him anyway.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sounds like he's got a lot of cool stuff as well, Craig. So I'll just ask you a couple more. Really appreciate your time, Lance.
Yeah,
awesome.
My pleasure.
Really, really enjoyed it. If you could give advice to any youngster out there who wants to be a pro speedway rider, what would your personal advice be for them?
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
One is take accountability. There's nothing wrong with saying that it's your fault. I'm a big fan of owning it.
Yeah.
Because once you start making excuses for everything, then you just never will push forward. Everybody learns from their mistakes, right? When I do a lot of personal coaching and stuff in the car stuff, or whatever it may be, you learn from your mistakes. If you don't ever make a mistake in your mind, then you're just going to flatline. You're never going to succeed. So that's one. And I just have so many little things. It's just that's one of them, and it's just tough with the kids today. The ones that I've been involved with anyway, that they don't do as much on their own. Everybody seems to be doing it for them, and I don't think to ever be the best in the world without you getting your hands dirty. And like every rider should be taking their bikes completely apart every nut and bolt, putting them back together, taking them apart, putting them back together. Well, a lot of them just ride what's given them, or what have you, if that makes any sense. To be the best, you need to know your equipment and to be able to make changes and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if I answered that completely, but
good advice anyway. My mum's put, Lee, you should do a speedway old time reunion, because I've done a couple of big motocross meeting reunion things from like 80s and 90s guys and stuff like that. She's doing that about that. I see Sean's put, I have one of Bruce's side port Eddie Ball bikes.
very cool. Very cool. That's early on. Those are like the special ones, right? The side port days.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of guys got some cool stuff, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly, right? Where you been hiding that, Sean?
Yeah, I can see your little reunion going on somewhere in America. Get a few.
And Sean, if you're still on, that gentleman that I'd met that was on your hockey team right before you guys won the championship, what a cool guy he was. And he didn't believe me that I knew you. It was pretty funny. And then he finally sent those pictures that you sent him, and he's like, wow, you did know Sean. So I thought that was funny. I don't know if he explained that to you or not.
Nice. The last couple of things I was going to ask you, do you like any other sports? Is there any other sports you enjoy watching or doing even?
Yeah, I mean, motorcycle stuff. I mean, I love watching the MotoGP. I think that's some of the coolest, spectator stuff there is. I'm a big fan of Formula One. I think I'm glad to see that Formula One, this new car, has made it watchable again, where there's some good racing. Supercross, all of that. I never miss a motocross race. Pretty stoked that there's a couple of Europeans, and I think you know who I'm talking about, that are coming to race our outdoor national. Do you know if that's true?
Yes, I heard Hurlins and Carioli we're talking about, I gather.
Right, but are they going to ride the whole season, I hope, or just a few races?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to do the whole thing.
I hope so too, because that will be huge for America, because that'll give such a boost to our sport. So yeah, I mean, if anything, being team manager again has got me more involved in racing, because I've been on the car stuff for the last 20 years or 15 years, so I've been just dealing with that. But as far as motorcycles and everything, this has gotten me back involved watching, speedway GPs, and every once in a while I'll go to YouTube and I'll put on a British League match or something. So I enjoy that.
Future interesting. What I was going to ask you is, what's the speedway like in the USA now?
It's an amateur sport. Steve Evans is really the only reason that it's still going, or I should say a big part. I know that the Oxleys are now, putting on, it seems like quite a few races now at Costa Mesa again, which is awesome for the sport, because that's where it began for me. And that's what started my whole career. So I'm pretty happy that that's happening, and I'll definitely make it down to watch one of the races there, because that holds a special place in my heart. But it's hard, and that's the other reason why I've stepped down as team manager. It's hard to get the quality of riders when it's an amateur sport.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're not making a living at it, and there's not any money at the end of that rainbow, you're not going to bring a lot of people out of the closet to ride. They got to really love this sport to ride. And that's the only select few that we have right now. And I don't see a pipeline of riders for, I don't know how long. I don't know if there ever will be a pipeline of riders anymore, and that's one of the things that the SON is one thing, but when next year, if we qualify for the World Team Cup, I don't have 5 world-class riders. So that's the bummer for me, because I know that we're going there not with, not with a full deck of cards, and we're beat before we even get there. And that's the thing that to me is hard to have, that passion and that enthusiasm, knowing you're just there to just sort of, there's a couple riders that are definitely going to make an impact. Yeah. 2 or 3 riders that are definitely going to make an impact, but you can't win with just 2 or 3 riders.
Yeah.
And it's not anyone's fault. There just isn't, and you can't expect anyone to come from the United States and make an impact on a one-off meeting. They're going to score a couple points, and there's a couple really good riders, I think, here in the States. But you have to spend the days in Europe. You have to be riding against the best in the world to become the best in the world. You just can't throw them into a world championship race and expect them to shine. I don't care how good they are. Just everything. And that's the bummer that I see. If we had a bunch of riders, I'd be in there full force, But yeah, I like I said, I think we have a couple riders that really have a bright future, and hopefully they hang in there, and it's great to see Dylan doing good, because he's putting the effort in now. Obviously Brock and Luke, so that those are 3 riders that we have that I think that if they stay on that path, they're just obviously going to get better and better.
Yeah, they're doing well. They're good prospects for sure. The last thing I was going to ask you about was everyone's talking about a lot of the motocross bikes. They're talking about the electric thing, and obviously because they lose a lot of tracks with the noise and all this sort of thing. So now the electric motocross bikes are on their way. What do you think about the whole electric bike thing, and could that possibly even happen in the speedway at some point?
I guess it could, but I mean, maybe I'm old school. I mean, the first thing that I can say is I've seen a huge difference in how exciting the sound is in speedway, or how much it's not.
Yeah.
Look at what Formula One. I mean, that's the easiest one for me. You go back to the V12s and the 10s and all of that, and it's some of the most incredible sounding stuff in the world. You don't even need to watch a race. You just shut your eyes and it's amazing. Yeah. You add that to great racing, and to me, there's nothing better. MotoGP, amazing. I know you've probably been to one live. I mean, it is incredible, the sound. And that adds so much to the whole experience. Have you ever been to a Formula E race?
I haven't.
It is the most boring thing you've ever seen in your life, because there is no sound.
Yeah.
The racing, they're dicing it up just like IndyCar and Formula One, but there's no sound. No, I went to one, and I was like, I couldn't get out of there fast enough because it just. So as far as electric and everything, I mean, tons of torque, and who knows, it might be a blast to ride. Again, it would be different. If you've ridden an electric motocross bike?
No, I haven't. No.
Well, you know how much you ride as the tone. Yeah. You don't even have to look at a tack, and you know what RPM you're at, right? Yeah. Just the more you ride, the more the tone of the exhaust is how you ride. Take that away, and then now it's all 100% feel. That's tough. That would be a huge learning curve. I don't know. The one cool thing I think, though, is I do think there's a place for them. Like, for example, I live on an acre, and if I had kids, they could be riding all day long, and no one would even know they're riding.
Yeah,
that is really cool. Yes. I think that has a place for being able for kids to ride and not disturb anybody and all of that. But I think when they get to a certain age and a certain size engine, then it needs to stay with gas, and but I do think there's a huge place for them, obviously in cities or what have you.
Yeah, that's a good idea for that. But yeah, once that comes into the old racing, I hope I'm well gone.
Yeah, I mean, so like if if you've lost your setup, is that because maybe you didn't have the right lithium battery? I mean, do you change your torque curve on your computer with, what I mean? It becomes more of a computer programming person than it does mechanical.
Yeah, like Craig's just said here, the speedway, the smell, the noise, it's all part of it. When you go and watch it live, whole different thing than watching it on TV.
Absolutely.
People to go and watch it live is much better.
And that's the other thing. I think they should get rid of the dirt deflectors.
Yeah.
I mean, one, it's all about getting dirty. And two, when you're trying to pass from the back, there's an art in trying to stay out of the roost. I don't know. I'm just, and plus, I've seen a lot of the GP riders get into some serious crashes with hitting that dirt. They're looking at the rear tire crossing over, and they don't realize that there's 6 inches of dirt deflector hanging off. That's a safety issue for me, but that's me standing on my podium. But I think I'm a fan of the dirt and not being able to see, and goggles, and that's part of the art of racing.
I think would you have been happy? You'd have been happier with if you'd had the air fence around when you was racing as well?
Oh my goodness, the air fence. The air fence would have kept me out of the hospital. I definitely wouldn't have broke my back at Bellevue. I think 95% of the accidents, it 100% helps them. Then there's always the 5% that they wouldn't have been in the accident if the air fence was there. But you know what? I would take the air fence, 1,000% every day of the week. And I think it would have saved a lot of people being paralyzed that we know today if those air fences were there.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that was huge for the sport.
So yeah, really good. For sure. Yeah. All right, awesome. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lee. Anytime. And so when you put that reunion together, let me know.
Yeah. Yes, I'd love to do this. This is already getting even my mum's into it. Get a speed reunion.
Perfect.
Right. Thanks very much, Lance. I appreciate it, mate.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you very much. All the best. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. What a legend. Lance King. Awesome. What a guy. Beautiful. Even got Bruce Penhall on as well at the start to ask Lance a couple of questions at the start. How cool was that? Wow. Still do that. You can imagine that as a young kid. Obviously, didn't really see the back end of my dad and my uncle's career in the 70s, being born in 77. But so obviously I grew up in the 80s, seeing all these legends and then getting to chat to them. Oh, never gets old. And then, like I said, Bruce coming on at the start, seeing Eric on tonight, Sean McConnell. Gotta love it. I think my missus said that she spotted that Billy Hamill was on earlier as well. I don't know if he's been on as well. Unreal. Awesome. How cool is that? Cheshire grins out. I'm out my shower again. Happy days. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. Thank you very much, mate. I don't know if anyone's on that's to do with that, but I'm literally looking to do. I'm going to do my motocross reunion event. This has obviously been amazing. Even to get some of the speedway guys out there as well. Chris Louis come to my last one with Andy Graham, and seeing all them guys has been amazing. And the ones before that came as well was really cool. You never know. Maybe I could do a speedway reunion. Even Kevin, my partner that does everything with me, my meetings that we do now, the two big meetings that have been really cool. We had over 300 riders for the first reunion in September, and just gone in April in Oxford at Cullen, we had 400 riders nearly. unbelievable, crazy, but awesome. And now we're looking at doing these team event thing. We're looking at the 6th and 7th of August, the date we're looking at. So if we could do the reunion motocross meeting each year, would be great. Just keep that as a once a year would be awesome. And then we're going to maybe look at doing this team event style event. Would be quite a fun thing as well. There you go, Craig. I knew it was you. See, I knew that even without your name on there. I was like figuring it out. So it looks like you got a back wheel to start your Lance King replica. So you have to get in touch with Lance, which I'm sure you can do quite easily. Yeah, you can catch it all, Lawrence. All of it gets saved onto my YouTube channel. It's free to subscribe onto my YouTube channel. Any of you guys that didn't know about any of the Speedway or motocross interviews I've done, there's been hundreds now in the last couple of years since the lockdown has started everything. There's so many to catch up on. Absolute, I can't believe still to this day, all the Speedway guys that I've had on for you Speedway fans that are on now. Check out my YouTube channel, Motocross and Spear Memories. It's easy to find. Just put in the Motocross and Spear Memories, look, and then you can see Lance things already coming up on there. Look already, this live now. As soon as I finish this, I'll like download this and then it records it and keeps it on there. But just to go through a quick one, look, all the lives that I've done. Look, you got John Davis was another cracking one again. The second one I did with him. Brian Carger, Barney Kennett, Jan Anderson. Still gets mad when you speak it out loud. Alan Graham was amazing to do. Sean McConnell, Mikhail Max, Sam Ermolenko, Ollie Olsen I did twice. Peter Carlson, Luke Becker, Bradley Wilson-Dean, Darcy Ward, Joe Screen, Chris Louie and Jeremy Doncaster together. Greg Hancock did a couple of hours as well. That was awesome. Lawrence Hare, Paco Castagna was awesome to surprise him with his hero Stefan Everts. Was amazing. Alf Busk, Chris Holder, Alan Carter, Bruce Penhall with Eric together and Eric Gunderson together. That was unbelievable. At Christmas, I did a John Davis with Dennis Sagalos and Neil Middleditch, and that was amazing as well. And the Cobra as well. Ollie Olsen there again. Look, Per Jonsson. Did 3 hours with Eric Gunderson. 3 hours with Hans Nielsen was unbelievable. Chris Morton, Ollie Allen, Simon Cross, Paul Hurry, John Davis, Mark Laram, Ronnie Corrie, Andy Graham. That was really cool. Todd Wiltshire. This is when I did the Skype ones before. Martin Smolinski took me around his workshop. Martin Dugard, Chris Bomber Harris. I did 2 parts with Scott Nichols. Gary Havelock was really cool. The first one I did with Hans Nielsen on Skype was cool. I did an hour with Lee Adams as well. A hero of mine, obviously. Bruce Penhall on his own. Roscoe, Jason Crump. Yeah, amazing. How cool is that? Never gets old. Unbelievable. And people said to me, oh, Lee, slow down in that 2 years. You're going too mad. You're getting too many motocross riders and too many Speedway riders. You're going to run out. There's no such thing as running out. There's so many heroes and legends of us all that I need to chase. And I will chase. Including Billy Hamill, that apparently was on tonight. So that's really cool. I loved Billy Hamill personally as well. So I'd love to get Billy Hamill on. I think I mentioned earlier, I was talking to Lance about that. I was trying to get Bobby Swartz. I did have his number, but I can't get hold of him. So if anyone wants to hook me up with Bobby Swartz. And as everyone knows, I know all the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and current era, obviously. So yeah, I'm chasing all comers. Gotta love it. No worries. Lawrence, thanks, mate. I've enjoyed working with Lance and team. Thanks, Craig, mate. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Hope everything's going good with you. Thank you, Jonathan. Doing Speedway proud. Oh, thanks, mate. Speedway in the 70s and 80s was amazing to watch him fly, for sure. Yes, and I did actually meet Chris in person at Oxford on that first opening night. It was really cool. And I had a picture with him and his family and his lovely wife and everything. So that was cool. And I'm definitely setting up one with him on the live because I did a Skype one with him. But so even all the ones I did Skype ones with, which was just me and them, just putting in my questions too, you can always do them again because bringing in the fans makes it the special where you guys can ask questions live and I bring you up on screen and everything. I think that just makes it a whole much cooler to be able to put your name up on the screen and speak to your heroes and idols as well. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get Bomber on for a live one, and then people can ask live as well. Not sure who that is, but thank you very much. Exactly that. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Reminiscing. Even while we do these 2 reunion meetings I've done so far, who doesn't love and reminisce? This is what it's all about. Everyone enjoys reminiscing, and let's be honest, as soon as it's happened, it's already in the past, so we reminisce. And obviously, yeah, it's cool to make new memories as well. But definitely reminiscing is what we love. Oh, wow. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I speak to people all the time. I've spoke to people online a lot. Just starting to get out there a little bit now, out of my shell, as it were, and meeting people. Now I've been to Speedway a couple of times because I hadn't been to Speedway for 2 or 3 years because of Swindon. So I randomly went to Poole last year, out of nowhere, really, to the playoffs, I think it was, and went there, and yeah, it was really cool. Some people come up and said that they'd seen some of my interviews, was really nice, about the Chris Holder and Darcy Ward one, so that was really cool. It was shocked me, but it was very cool. Yeah, 100%. Love you, Lee Ashby. Super proud man, especially getting a mention from Bruce Penhall. Yes, see, there you go, man, making you some dreams as well. I even said to him earlier when he said, I said to him about, you could come on, Bruce, if you wanted to later on. I don't know how busy you are, etc. And he said, yeah, he said, I'll do my best to come on. So I was like, oh no. I sort of asked him, and then as soon as he said yeah, then I was like already quilting, doing that, getting nervous. And then I said, oh, my mum will love it. And he said, even said, didn't he, in the message, give your mum a hug. And he even got a special mention as well. So making mum happy as well, which is nice. I'd love to do that, Callum. How I could do that, and if people could help me do that, would be cool. The fact that he never had a testimonial ever is quite amazed, to be fair. I was even speaking to him as well about the Grahams, and I think Alan had a couple of testimonials, but it's quite strange that Andy didn't get to have a testimonial. How cool would it be to have a testimonial at Oxford? He won a couple of league titles, I'm sure he did, with Hans and Wiggy and Marvin Cox and all that era in the 80s. Be cool to do that there, wouldn't it? Wonder if who knows the people involved. Yes, I would love to hear Scott Autry. Have tried to chase Scott Autry a little bit. And Steve Gresham was supposed to be on that original Christmas one when I had the 4 of us, John Davis, the Cobra, Steve Luxton, Dennis Agalos and Neil Middleditch. Steve was going to come on that original one. So yeah, I'm definitely another 2 chasing. Not sure what that is, but definitely chasing. Lee, come over to Wolves on a Monday. Yes, I'd love to do that, mate. I haven't been to Wolves since I think it was an opening league match. It's got to be 3 or 4 years ago when Swindon first debuted them orange levers, Kevlar, sorry. So I think it was the opening night of the league. I think that was the last time I went to Wolves. It's got to be 3 or 4 years ago, isn't it? This is now the 3rd season Swindon's not running since winning the league, which is a bummer. But yeah, I'd love to come down there on a Monday night. Yeah, maybe I'll speak to you then, Craig. That would be cool. And when I did see, when Chris Louis came to my reunion at Culham last month, that was really cool. And he said I could go up to Ipswich, and I thought, whoa, that would be cool to go up there as well. Oh, wow, cool. Yeah, let me know then, mate. I'd like to do that. Yeah, definitely. It's been a while since I've been gone down there. That'd be cool. Yes, I'd love to do that. Has anyone got a contact for Dave Jessup? I know he rode with my uncle quite a lot as well in the 70s and 60s and 70s and for England and stuff like that. That'd be a cool one to get. I'd love to do Dave Jessup. Get a lot of cool pictures up to bring up on screen and all that with him. If anyone's got a contact for Dave Jessup, let me know. Message me. I'd love to get hold of him. That'd be a good one, wouldn't it? Definitely one of the legend England riders for sure. But yeah, I won't waffle anymore. Go and have some tea, some late night tea. But yes, another super cool one. Lance King, loved watching him as a youngster in the 80s, and seen him loads at Swindon as a youngster, racing for America in test matches and for Cradley. And I even remember him coming with Kings Lynn and Bradford, and I think I showed a couple of pictures of him racing Phil Crump there. He was my first original hero, Phil Crump at Swindon, that I nearly got not long ago, but he couldn't get it sorted out on his phone when he was over here in the UK not all that long ago. So obviously still trying to get the Phil Crump one would be amazing. Maybe he's back in Aussie, maybe have a laptop or a PC there. Hopefully I can get Phil Crump one sorted out, because yeah, I've still got a picture of me and Lee Kilby sat on the front of his bike when he took us round for a lap after the meeting that I used to back in the day in the 80s. So yeah, obviously that would be really cool to still do that. I did speak to Jason Crump as well. I was going to speak to him about like I said, I did his on a Skype, but it'd be cool to get him on a live. Plus, speak to Crumpy about going into the management side of things and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to hear what he says about that. And obviously, the new revival of the Oxford thing's been really cool. The tracks looks amazing. The stadium's amazing. They've done a cracking job there. I went there for that opening night. Managed to get a ticket off someone at the last minute. Emailed me over and I paid, and that was cool to get that at the last minute, so I was lucky with that. I did try again the week after, but couldn't get one off or anyone. I did it too late again, but my car was in the garage, so I didn't know if I was gonna have a car and stuff like that, so I did it. Yes, I did speak to him at one time as well, but he was going into hospital at the time I spoke to Bruce Cribb, and I was going to do one with him, but he was going into hospital at the time when I was sorting one out with him, so I'd have to reconnect with Cribby. That would be good, wouldn't it? Like to talk to him about all the ice speedway bikes he used to bring out. I remember him coming to Swindon, and I think he pretty much broke all the track records, didn't he, around the UK when he came on the ice bike. Lots of stories, yeah, for sure. Proper gladiator style as well, wasn't he, Bruce Cribb? Loved. So yeah, he's another one as well. Who said we'd run out of riders? My mum. Yes, Jeff Bouchard. Yeah, I wonder if I could get him on. I met him at Leicester Speedway when Leicester first come back racing. They had their first meeting of the year was against Swindon, and me and my brother Jamie, we went up to Leicester to watch Swindon in the first league match, I think it was, and we saw Jeff there. So we had a quick chat with Jeff and had a picture, like you do. What's this book then, Lawrence? What's this book about? Let me know. But yeah, cool to push any book if he comes on or whatever. Just see that come through, Nick. I think obviously he's left now. Do you feel you ever fenced on purpose? I'm pretty sure from what he said, yeah. We did speak about that a little bit, and actually it was quite one of the first questions Bruce asked was asking him about riders that he had run-ins and everything with. Steve, Tony Olsen, I did have a contact for. I emailed him and he was going to do it, and then I emailed him back again to set it up, and then he said he wasn't interested then, so which is a bit of a bummer. So yeah, I would like to get Tony Olsen on. I believe he had a bit of a relationship with my uncle as well, and they did engines. A lot of the Reading boys, Perry Johnson, Jan Anderson, they all did their engines at my uncle Martin's in Marlborough when they were riding at Reading and Swindon. And Phil Morris, I think I did speak to him before on social media once. That'd be a cool one as well, wouldn't it? Especially what he's done after racing as well, with all the GP stuff and everything. That'd be cool. Calvin Tatum, I've got no contact for Calvin Tatum. That would be a cool one to do. I'd love to do one with Calvin Tatum. If anyone's got a contact with Calvin Tatum, let me know. How sad as well was with Nigel Pearson. Bloody hell. Terrible. Sport's not going to be the same, is it, with a GP? You know, the first thing you think of as a GP is Pearson and Tatum together. Bloody hell, so sad. Terrible. Also, there's been a motocross rider, Andy Marchant, riding in the vets recently at Cullum at the weekend in the AMCA. Lost his life as well, which is absolutely awful. Yeah, it was at the same track where we literally had our meeting 2 weeks before, so it's scary. I've been messaging all the guys that got injured at my meeting as well. So yeah, it's not cool, but I've been checking up on a lot of them. Yeah, it's been some sad stuff going on lately, isn't there? Which brings it home how dangerous the sports are and everything. Stories of cribby stories with profits to riders permanently injured. Can send you? Okay, yeah, I'll appreciate that. Let me know. I'd love to could just give him a message, and I'm not sure if he knows of any of my stuff or anything like that, but I could certainly give him a message. Maybe with Calvin, not maybe the right time for him to want to maybe do an interview right now, I'm sure. But I'd love to do Calvin's interview about his career. I know he's got his book out. He had his book out as well, so I'm sure he's still selling his book. So he might be interested in doing one and letting people know if you've got any more books or whatever. I'm not sure if Calvin's still selling his books. But yeah, definitely interested in all them. Lawrence, thanks, mate. I last spoke to Cribby on Facebook, I believe it was, but yeah, I'd like to sort that one out. It'd be cool. And Calvin, I'd love to speak to Calvin. I did meet him at an Evo Motocross event last year, I think it was. Just had a quick chat to him, just literally quickly. But yeah, there's plenty out there to do, isn't there? And there's lots of cool ones to do. So yeah, I will leave you with what my old man says. Here he is. The old famous Ashby leathers that they both wore. There you go. Dadler, a little trump card my dad was at reserve for the Robins, or number 2 with Martin at number 1. Dad pulled out of the bag quite a few times for Swindon, making a difference at reserve, especially if he's took out of a ride. I've got, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to play them 2 tapes I've got of the speedway meetings in the 70s. Swindon at home to Paul and Swindon at home to Bellevue. I was going to come on here, play it like this. I'll set up the cassette player and play the 2 meetings throughout. Then we can chat while we're listening to it as well. That'd be cool. We'll do that on the live. Hopefully get like some the Paul and Bellevue fans on and listen to the 2 tapes I got. I'm going to play both the meetings. That'd be cool. And you'll see what I mean about Dad. Get taken out of a ride or something like that, and you had to get fired up to do something crazy. Then you come out and win a race against someone massive. Massive hole in the sport. Yeah, it was, mate. 100%. Like you said, the first thing you think of at the GP is Nigel and Tatum together. Proper classic double act, wasn't it? Awesome. Made it, didn't it? Even when sometimes maybe the racing wasn't as exciting or whatever, those guys made it a show for sure. So it's not going to be the same. But yeah, not going to be the same, mate, for sure. So yeah, I will catch up with you all soon, but I'll leave you with my dad's words. It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Let's try it. There's always people out there to test us. It's nice to be, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Do try and live by that, but there's plenty of people out there that'll test you. Oh, also thanks to Mr. Irvine, Mr. Steve Irvine that hooked me up with that. Look, we had Bruce on today, and if you could probably see from there, you could probably see the Michael Lee one as well. Really cool. And then behind me, that I've been had my ugly head on in the way all night. He's been on tonight, the man. Not too much light involved. So thank you to Steve Irvine. Hope I'm pronouncing his surname properly. But he does some proper legendary. You can check him out on Facebook. He hooked me up with these 3 prints after I did Eric's and Bruce's. And yeah, very cool. And the Michael Lee one as well. Also did try to speak to Michael Lee. I'd love to get Michael Lee on. How cool would that be? He did tell me he wasn't really interested, but I will persevere. Some of the riders I spoke to for a year or 2, still doing it now. Chasing a lot of riders I've spoke to for a year or 2. There's some riders, I don't mind throwing the names out that I've chased. Billy Hamill, Andrew Silver was one of my favourite Swindon riders. I've chased him quite a bit. But yeah, I'll do my best to try and get all the heroes and idols as much as I can. I'll do my best. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully meeting a lot more of you that I've speak to on social medias and everything that I've been speaking to for the last couple of years since started all this on the lockdown, and definitely going to Cardiff Speedway this year. Get in. I've only been once ever, which is crazy. I've only been to Cardiff once, and that was when Greg Hancock won of them. I know he's won a couple, so can't remember exactly what year it was. But I went with my brother, and yeah, I've only been to Cardiff once. So this year I've definitely got tickets. My buddy, Mr. Kev Wheeler, that I do my reunion meetings with, he got me a pair of tickets for my birthday and said that I could take anyone with me. But I said to him I'd take him, and we're going to be coming to hopefully meet loads of the people that I get to speak to online, hopefully. Yes, Lawrence, that'd be cool as well. I did go to Birmingham quite a few years back now. Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it, Craig? Michael Lee, I'd love to get Michael Lee on here. Yeah, I went to Birmingham for a what's it called, the Ben Fund one year. When this is quite a while back now, actually thinking about it, because I remember it. We just got Hans Andersen just when we won the league for Swindon, so that's quite a way back now, isn't it? And I went to Birmingham because I think they were going into the Elite League at the time. I think it was, and I went there. Took my oldest now, Sophie. So she's now just turned 20 this month, so she was a teenager, and I took her then. We went to watch the first meeting at Ben Fun there, and Hans Andersen was in there, and yeah, it was the first year that Hans Andersen come to Swindon when he won the league with us. When we were wearing they had like some red Kevlars for the home, and then they had like the sponsor, they had the purple as well. And I think it was like Simon Stead, Hans Andersen, Bachelor. But yeah, I went to Birmingham then, and it was good, even though I got lost. I went past West Brom's ground, I remember. West Brom's football ground, and I was like, oh look, it's West Brom. And it went far past there, I think I was right. But yeah, that'd be cool to go there as well. But yeah, I need to get out and about with the Speedway. I've literally been to I went to Oxford opening night. First time I've been there, obviously, since that. And then before that, I went randomly to Poole once last year. And then it's been like 2 or 3 years since last went to Swindon. So yeah, I've only been Speedway twice in years. So it'd be cool to go to Cardiff this year. Really looking forward to that. So buzzing to go to that, and hopefully see loads of you guys that have come on over these interviews the last couple of years. Would be cool. As soon as people tell me their name, I know who they are. I don't forget conversations we've had on social medias and stuff like that. It's just cool to put faces to names and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll see a lot of you at Cardiff as well. Maybe have some social time. I'm even weirder than I am now with a couple of drinks. Literally all I need. Right out the shower. Anyway, speak to you all soon. I'm hoping to have a big American motocross name, Talon Boland. He was a top class GP rider, and in America, the Supercross and the White Road for all the top teams. Hoping to get him on next Thursday, I believe it is. And then let's hook up the next Speedway one as well. So I'll keep you all updated on my social medias. Thanks for all coming on tonight. Appreciate everyone coming on. Really enjoyed that with Lance. It was awesome. And getting a guest appearance off of Bruce Penhall as well, and seeing all the legends that come on tonight as well is super cool. Makes me nervous, but it's super cool. Eric Gunderson, Sean McConnell, Billy Hamill. If the missus said he was on, I'll take a word for it. But yeah, hopefully I can get him on as well. Would be really cool. But see you all soon. Good night and God bless. See you all soon. Cheers.